everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna Van Mourik. I'm an inspired writer and an inspirational fiction reader, and today I have a book haul for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into that. These books were sent to me by Waterbrook Multnomah, so big thank you to Waterbrook Multnomah for sending me so many of these books. I will try to mention the ones that were sent to me compared to the ones that I purchased myself or that were given to me, but if I fail to mention that, then please pardon me. I am not perfect. Let's talk about books because that's what y'all came here for. So the first book that I got is a finished copy of Fire and Lions. Now you guys saw that I got an ARC of this copy of this book, uncorrected proof copy, and of course it was uncorrected and it had a glossy cover as opposed to a matte cover, so I was really excited to just get like a finished one that's just all the things together in one book. I loved this book. I did a reading vlog for this book. You guys all seemed to really love that, so be sure you go and check out my reading vlog for this book. But yeah, Of Fire and Lions by Misu Andrews. Definitely go check this book out. Stick it there. How about that? Does that work? Yeah, kind of. The next book I got is actually a very interesting book. So you guys know Not My Will by Francina Arnold is one of my favorite books of all time. It started me on the journey that led me to Christian fiction and that led me to basically my lifestyle and where I am today. So what I got is a vintage hard copy, hardback copy of Not My Will by Francina Arnold. And you can see it is very old and tattered and bruised, and I'm very happy with this though. I believe, from what I can tell, this book is the 18th printing of this book. It's the 18th, not necessarily edition, but the 18th run. And it was published, sold in 1968. So this is a 1968 copy of Not My Will. It has been around for quite some time. I believe it was initially published, hold on, just one more second. It was initially published in 1946 by the Moody Bible Institute. So I just think this is really cool. It's green, which is my favorite color, and it's so cool. Also, another fun fact about this, it was a library book before it was mine. It belonged to a library, and the last time that this book was checked out of this library was on October 13th of 1985, which is so cool. It was checked out on my birthday many years ago, but the last time it was checked out was on my birthday in 1985. I was not born in 1985, just for the record, so it's not my birth date, my exact birth date, but it is pretty cool that I feel like the last time that this book was checked out was on my birthday by someone named Kathy. So Kathy, if you're still out there, I hope you really enjoyed this book. Thanks for celebrating my birthday before I was born. But yeah, October 13th of 1985. And the first time that it was checked out, at least according to this library card, was in June of 1970. So it's just cool to like see all the names of the people who read this book. It's so cool. I'm just really happy that I have a vintage copy of Not My Will. It's probably one of my most valued books now, if we're honest. The next book that I got is a nonfiction book. It is the Chronological Guide to the Bible. Explore God's Word in Historical Order. And one of the things that is on my wish list for the future is a chronological Bible, a chronological study Bible, because I would really love to have one where it's in the order in which it was written. But I'm very excited to have this guide. Basically, it takes you through the books and when they were written and kind of the historical context and conditions at that time, and there's pictures and artwork and lots of interesting facts and charts and things. So I'm just very happy to have this resource. This is probably another one of those things that I should put in like the book research category for my biblical fiction series, but yeah, The next book that I bought completely changed my life. Forget everything I've ever told you about how I write my book and go buy Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I own the first Save the Cat, which is Save the Cat, the last book on screenwriting you'll ever need. And basically that book was famous. It took off, it exploded. It was used by screenwriters and non-screenwriters alike, just general fiction writers. Anyone who was a writer knew what Save the Cat was. They had read Save the Cat, they had used the Save the Cat method for writing their stories, because it is such a great way of kind of outlining and plotting out a series. So I guess the publishers got a great idea and they said, hey, why don't we write a specific one for writing a novel? So they did. Jessica Brody wrote Save the Cat Writes a Novel, which is essentially a Save the Cat inspired book, but specifically for novel writing and for fiction writing. And this has expanded my understanding of outlining so much, and of plotting, and just what makes a good arc, what makes a good story arc, what makes a good character arc. And I just finished outlining another one of my books, and I used this method. I used this beat sheet, and it was incredible. The process went so quickly, the inspiration flowed so heavily, and I truly attribute that to this book. So if you don't own this book, this is the last book on writing you will ever need. Do yourself a favor. If you're a writer, do your future self a favor and just buy it. The next book that I got is an uncorrected proof copy. I keep the letters that I get with books that I'm sent by Waterbrook and Multnomah in the book, so that way I can tell, like, oh, this is an uncorrected proof, besides the fact that it says uncorrected proof right there on the cover. But this is an uncorrected proof copy of Ever Faithful, a vintage national parks novel by Karen Barnett. And I'm really excited to read this book. It takes place in 1933. This is gonna sound really bizarre. When I was, I believe I was 9 turning 10, mother, correct me on that if I'm wrong. I believe I was 9 or 10, and I really loved history as a kid. I loved American Girl books, American Girl novels. History class was my favorite. I love history, still do. I had a Great Depression themed birthday party, and everyone dressed up as homeless people for this party. And we decorated our house, to look like a soup kitchen, and the whole thing was depression themed, and it was the most fun birthday I've ever had. That sounds so ridiculous, but at the time I was very obsessed with learning about that time period in history. I went through phases as a kid of being really obsessed with World War II or World War I, or you know, ancient history or ancient Egypt. And at that point I was just really obsessed with the Great Depression. So I had a Great Depression themed birthday party, and it was the most fun birthday party ever. If I can, I'll try to put in a couple of pictures of my Great Depression themed birthday party, because it was really fun. I got to wear a Kit Kittredge outfit. If you don't know who Kit Kittredge is, she's the American Girl doll from the 1930s. This is just showing how much of my inner child still lives. But anyways, I'm super excited to read this one. It just looks really cute, and I love the cover. Again, I love illustrated covers like this, so especially for contemporary books, but I've never seen one on a historical book. But it definitely fits the vintage national parks aesthetic. When I think about travel posters, I used to have my room decorated in vintage travel posters, and this definitely speaks to that aesthetic. So I think this is a really cute idea. I think this sounds like a really interesting story, and yeah, that's the story about why I love the Great Depression. Also, my grandma was alive during the Great Depression, so she used to tell me stories about like how they would cleverly divide things up so that they could make the most out of what they had during that time of economic distress. So I just really enjoyed hearing about that kind of stuff as a kid. and learning about history. They always say learn from the past and then look to the future, so that's the kind of person I am. The next book that I got is also an uncorrected proof from Waterbrook, obviously, and it is The King's Mercy by Laurie Benton. I've never read anything by Laurie Benton, but I've heard amazing things about what she has written, and this one just sounds really, really good. And yeah, I love the cover for this one. I can't wait to read it. Eventually I do want to get Many Sparrows, which is another one of her books that's pretty talked about in the Christian fiction community. I haven't read it, but I want to. But I am very excited to finally have one of her titles on my shelf, and hopefully I'll get to read this one very soon. This one is releasing on June 4th of 2019. And the last one I mentioned, Ever Faithful, is June 18th of 2019. So there you go. And I have another uncorrected proof copy here that I received from Waterbrook Multnomah. Thank you so much. And it is No Ocean Too Wide by Carrie Taransky. Now this is a shock, I know. I also have never read any Carrie Taransky books, and I've heard amazing things about them. So I'm very excited to finally have one on my shelf so that I can read it and get to know her writing and fall in love with her writing style. And this one takes place in the early 1900s, 1908 kind of thing. Between the years of 1869 and 1939, more than 100,000 impoverished British children were sent across the ocean to Canada with the promise of a better life. Those who took them in to work as farm laborers or household servants were told the children were orphans. But was that the truth? So this just sounds so intriguing. I've never even heard of anything like this. And as a history buff, as I am, like I literally just said I was, I've never really heard about this historical time period, this historical event before of, you know, orphans and being placed across the sea. So I'm very interested in reading this book and very interested in trying out this author. So that's No Ocean Too Wide by Carrie Taransky. And that is on sale on June 25th of 2019. I have another uncorrected proof copy, and this is Becoming Us by Robin Jones Gunn. Robin Jones Gunn is the author of the Christy Miller series. I've never read the Christy Miller series. I'm sorry. I guess another part of the Christy Miller series, only Christy Miller is an adult in Southern California, contemporary book. Sounds really good. It's just about making friends and life and God and all that kind of good stuff. And it's a contemporary, obviously, but I'm very excited to read this one as well. Yeah, I don't know anything about Christy Miller. I'm sorry. Those books are pretty well known. They have made a pretty big impact on a lot of people. So I am super excited to get a glimpse into that world by reading Becoming Us. And that one, did I say that already? It's on sale May 7th of 2019. There are a lot of good books coming out this spring and early summer. And I have another uncorrected proof copy of A Silken Thread by Kim Vogel Sawyer. First of all, can we talk about this cover? You all know that I love monochrome book covers that have a single color palette. For instance, my favorite book, Not My Will, is completely green, and this one is completely pink, and I love that. I love the design of this book cover, and it just looks so interesting. This one comes out April 2nd of 2019, so very quickly, very soon coming up here, but I'm very excited to also get into this one. This one is about the Atlanta Cotton Exposition of 1895. I'm gonna read the back cover for this one because I don't know how well I can describe it, but here we go. Laurel Millard is 18 years old when her siblings issue an ultimatum. She must waive the right to a husband and a family of her own to care for their mother. Not wanting to leave her beloved mama alone, Laurel agrees, but she secretly harbors the hope that she will find someone who is willing to accept them both. As the Atlanta Cotton Exposition of 1895 prepares for its grand opening, Laurel eagerly applies to be a silk weaver, believing the position will be her chance to capture the heart of a wealthy suitor who can afford care for Mama and allow Laurel to live the life that she dreams of. She catches the eye of the dashing Langdon Rochester, the heir to his father's steam-powered engine empire. But when disaster strikes the silk room, Laurel makes the acquaintance of Willie Sharp, the security guard posted to protect the room. Laurel gets to know Willie and his friend Quincy Tate, a black groundskeeper, and she witnesses firsthand the destructive divisions based on race, education, and social class. Despite pervasive prejudices and further trouble at the exposition, will Laurel discover the courage to pursue the kind of love that will make her heart sing? So this one sounds very complex. I'm very excited to read this one hopefully very soon. And again, the cover looks really interesting, and if you're interested in this story at all, it is on sale on April 2nd. So make sure you keep your eye out for that one. These are all the books that I hauled today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. All my social media links are right over here. This is where you can find me anywhere else on the internet besides YouTube. Thanks so much for watching again. I'm Jenna Van Mourik, an inspired writer and an inspirational fiction reader who reads, writes, and lives for Jesus. You can get to know more about me and find all of my other information in the description box below. I will see you in my next video. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Bye!